I would like to try a few more minor changes in the if statement block. For example, can we insert a blank line in the middle of the if statement block? For example, if I wanted to just insert a blank line and it's clearly at 0 level indentation, and see how this behaves. I'm just going to rerun the code. Okay, just enter some kind of positive number. Everything looks good and it reports the correct magnitude. So this is allowed. Next thing I'd like to try is to change the indentation just slightly. For example, can I increase an indentation or shorten it? For instance, first let's try to shorten the indentation. You can see that my space indentation in front of these lines has changed, and this level really doesn't fit any other structure in my code. So I'll save it and try running it again. So this time, it's not even a runtime error. It is a syntax error which Python interpreter detects before it executes the code. So this is just really kind of serious violation of syntax in Python with this indentation, and it reports to us this indentation error. And since I decreased the indentation to 3 spaces, it says unindent does not match any outer indentation level. And even though this is a command line, you can see that it's not that hard to see which file produced this error and which line, right? So in many source editors, you can press Control G, and type basically go to line number such and such. And so since my command window reports line number 9, I can jump to this location pretty easily. So the same thing I suspect will happen if I just increase the indentation, which does not really match any other parts of this Python program. So try it again, and you can see this time it's reporting an unexpected indent. So indent means increasing the indentation, and unindent decreasing it, but both are pretty consistently telling us that this is not allowed. Okay, so this is fine. This was interesting to try and to see what impact it makes. And pretty much program did not run. The interpreter instantly reported that this is not possible to understand the syntax of the program. So let's try something else. Could we move, for example, our print statement to a 0 level indentation and see what happens? So, for example, 0 level indentation, of course, matches the original level of indentation. So syntactically, this is quite all right, right? So this is this should be allowed. Let's just try running it, and I guess my comment would be here, can we do this, right? So question mark. I don't know. We should find out. This is the only change that I made. Okay, so let's run the program. Let's just clear the screen and just run it again. Enter a number. So the program has started nicely. Okay, another positive number. It says that's a positive number, and the negative number of the same magnitude is -5. Everything looks pretty much the same, right? We can exit the program. Nothing looks suspicious. But is this a good program code or bad? What do you think? Let's find out. We can simply try a negative input or 0. So let's try that. So enter a number, for example, -5. So I'll try a negative input, and this time we are running into a problem exactly on the line that we try to unindent, and the name error means that essentially this variable name, which I called negative, it's a string object. Originally it was a string object, but this time it simply is not defined, not recognized. So what is happening? The condition of the if statement, because the number is now negative and no longer positive, return false. And so this block of if statement, which is now these 4 lines, indented by the same amount of spaces, once again, never executes. And I mean it pretty seriously. It never executes, just like if it never was part of the program, just like this. If it never existed, this is the behavior. This is what happens at runtime. These lines completely getting ignored. And as a result, we never even created our string named negative. This is the place where negative appears in our code, and it happens only if this condition is true, but this time it was false. So the program simply crashed because we wanted to print something that does not exist in our memory. So when somebody tells you that Python is the easiest programming language to learn, it's probably a lie, right? It comes with its own territory and its own possibilities of these kind of like tricky runtime situations. And I can assure you that if we copied and pasted this code into, for example, Java or equivalent C program, C or C++, compiler will detect immediately that the variable was declared inside the if statement block, and it will be a compile time error, meaning that you can never make a C program like this runnable. Right? You would have to fix the problem that your variable is declared inside an if statement block, but you're trying to use it outside, and it wouldn't be possible in C or C++ or Java. So this is kind of unfortunate that if I had a choice, I would probably be switching coding to C now. But hey, let's see what we can do better and how could we fix the existing code. I think the foundation of the logic is in place. We simply want to print some sort of result at the end of the program, trying to use this print function call. Um, and also we want to be able to control some of the logic and modify the result, the output, based on a certain condition. So again, the logic is in place. It's okay. So the first possible solution would be to move the initialization of the variable to the top, so that it happens early, before the if statement. So I can simply cut this and move it here, and of course update the indentation level. Maybe I can insert a blank line to keep the readability of this. And so with this single change, we can try running it again, just to see if this is a good direction in which we're moving. So run it again, enter a number. If I try positive, everything looks okay. But if I try a negative input like this, again, this is sort of looks, it no longer crashes, but it doesn't look very pretty because the if statement block again did not execute, but we tried to update the formatting. So we just need to do more updates. But the good thing is that we don't crash anymore. So we're on the right path, I guess. So the runtime crash has been eradicated, but we still need to fix the logic of the code. And what we could do is that we could simply we could return back to what we tried to do over here. And I guess now I can get rid of this early comment that I made here and just say negative number of the same magnitude. But over here, we could assume, right, just make an assumption that you entered a negative number. Okay, something like this, right? So that's a possibility. And sort of the meaning of this approach is that we assume the input is less than 0, something like that. Whether it's okay or not, but that's the direction in which we're moving now. So we can probably get rid of this comment as well, because now we're trying to just stay with an idea of this if statement. And I think we're ready to test it again. Again, I'll type CLS to clear screen in my command window, rerun this one more time. So for a positive value, looks good. For a negative value, it's, oh, sorry, I typed too quickly. Rerun the program, -5. Okay, so you entered a negative number. So our initial assumption that maybe the user is going to enter a negative number helped us a little bit with this approach, and the program is runnable. It reports more or less okay results for these two possibilities. So this is quite better, but it's not still ideal, because if I enter a 0, let's try this again and try a 0, which is neither negative or positive, we still have our assumption getting in the way, and 0 is not a negative number, but that's what we get so far. So this is still not looking very good. 0 is 0, it's not negative, should perhaps say that it's 0 in this case. So before we try to fix this new logic error with a 0 case, let's just try to let me try to show you a few more possibilities to distinguish between positive and negative values.